Welcome, YouTube. How's it going today? My name is Alan Williams. Thanks for tuning in today. We have a fun live stream planned for you. We've been talking behind the scenes with the guests that you're going to see in this video. And I tell you, there's a lot of questions that are already coming up. And I was like, stop. We have to start the stream so that we can actually bring everybody into it. I'm going to go ahead and start by introducing our guest, starting with TXAdvance app developer himself. This is Greg. We're going to call him that. I'm going to butcher your name if I try, not because I'm trying to butcher your name, but because that's just me. Would you please pronounce your name the proper way for us? The whole name?
Hi, my name is Grégoire.
Grégoire,
keep it Greg. Grégoire.
Just call you Greg. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do.
Yes, that's fine.
Just to make it easy, I'm going to rename you to Greg up on the screen. So that way we're just going to call you that. And I'm also from RF Systems Consultants. We have Scott Beatty and we have Cujo Cooley. These are RF gurus that I know that are definitely interested in looking at the app and diving in as we go forth with our video here. Joe Foglia is in the chat here. Thank you very much for joining as a new member here. Thanks for joining. We have, as of right now, 6 people in here. Now, bear with us a little bit because there's a lot to cover in this short amount of time. But what I am going to tell you now is that the video, that if you do write a comment, we will probably get to it, but there may be a little bit of a delay if we're in the middle of a particular segment to it there. Hi there, Joe. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the app itself. But first, before I do that, there's an FTC requirement that we always have to say that in order that if this is a video that's going forth, it is not sponsored in any way, but I was sent the I was sent the dongle, I was sent the tuner, and I was given the app for free in order to bring forth and show you today. So it was not sponsored in any way, but that is at least a little bit of something I have to mention in order for the Federal Trade Commission to be happy. But that said, it's out of the way. It's early in the video. Let's talk a little bit about the setup that I have going on here. Despite my best efforts to screen share from the actual tablet itself to the computer, it took me probably 2 hours for me to get to a point where I was overly frustrated, it takes a long time because I was really trying to get it to work. But I was able to actually get my computer to fully take over and project this, but then I wasn't able to add it to the stream. And there was various different apps that I tried also. It just was not cooperating. So what I'm going to end up ultimately having to do is show you on this tablet right here. But the funny thing is, originally, when Greg sent me the app, he sent me this tuner and he sent me the dongle. I said, well, you know what? I should buy a whole tablet just to test this thing. So that's exactly what I did. I basically bought this tablet just for purposes of using in this video. Now I'm glad I did because it's we're going to need the screen size to show you. So hello, Andre over at Worth It or Not. He's joining us right here. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the setup. Now, you mentioned to me, because there was a couple of tuners I saw, and basically I did what I typically do and looked at the frequency range and just what looked like a good deal and that kind of thing. But I ultimately ended up saying, picking a dongle or a tuner rather, and you said it's not right. If someone wants to buy their own tuner, what is the specific criteria that you need in order for that to happen?
So at the moment in the app, you need an R820 T2 tuner. I'm planning on bringing in more different kinds of tuner, but every one of them has its own specification. And this is, I think, the best compromise in all of them because it can go from like 24 megahertz up to 1700 something, which is perfectly fine for us as a locations and mixer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then I will try to bring in more dongles, maybe RF Explorer, maybe you have also Hack RF1 or SDR plays. Just it takes time to develop. So I just started with this one because it's pretty easy to find and it's quite efficient for its price and for its size.
Awesome. Because that's the big question that I think a lot of people are wondering, would probably wonder about, is if we get our own adapters, if we get our own tuners, can you just use any of them? I mean, when this arrived, it came with 3 different antennas in there. There's various different accessories. Obviously, the antenna that you would want to use is the small one that has UHF size antenna, which you can tell there. It's relatively even. But one of the things I did, just because I wanted to basically make a setup that was going to remain set up for this at all times, and I set it right here someplace to show you. And of course, it's in a wonderfully safe place that now I can't find it. But I did buy a right angle remote audio antenna, cut it to length, and basically this is going to be the ideal length for using with this particular adapter right here. Now, this is also a very important piece right here in order to get it from the USB-A in order to get it into your computer. Now, the app currently is only for Android. And I know a lot of people out there are curious if you're going to be able to create one for iPhone, but what are the challenges that you've run into there?
Actually, with iOS products, you cannot communicate with those SDR dongles. So I could find another solution going through a computer and then the computer sending through Wi-Fi to the iPhone. But that would defeat the purpose of having something very handy, which you can have in your pocket, because then you are going back to needing a computer, or even if it's a small computer like a Raspberry Pi or this kind of things. But yeah, you cannot directly plug at the moment. I hope they will change it, but I'm not sure. But so it's a limitation from Apple.
Yeah. Apple is it likes to hold on to its platform and control it. So I doubt that will be an option.
Android devices are so cheap that if you're going to get this for your kit, just get a device and keep it in your kit.
Yeah, exactly. And you can find cheap phones. Yeah. You can have very cheap phones for $100 and $150, and they're perfectly fine. The app is not really heavy on it. It's a light app.
Yeah, it's very small. And just so it's been said, the app that we're going to be going through is not the release that you can currently get from the Android Play Store. The version that I'm using right now is a beta, and then I just updated it on March 30th, I believe, is the most current update that you sent me the link to. So we're going to be going through a couple of features in there that you might not have in the current release, but I'm sure it'll be released in the official release very soon.
Very soon, yeah.
Okay, now also, if you're curious about any of the items that I'm going to be showing you right here, this tuner, this OTG, which is on the go adapter that allows you to connect it up to a USB-C to plug directly into your smartphone or a tablet device, then you can see that there are links down in the description down below if you would like to click on those and check it out, get them for yourself or whatever. Those are at least an option there. I'm going to add Cujo back there. He was down for a moment. So what I'm going to be using for our demonstration here is the Galaxy Tab A7. And in order to get it to work, it's pretty cool. All you have to do is connect it up to the USB. Now, as soon as I can find it, there we go. And the reason I have the right angle is because if I prop this up someplace, it's just going to sit there with the antenna pointed straight up. That's the reason why it's not a standard. That's the reason why I didn't like the layout of this. If it was magnetic, it would make me so much happier. I guess you could Velcro this and run the cable someplace if you really wanted to. That would be an option as well. It's probably not going to affect the performance much, just having this adapter here. But on the screen, let me actually turn the brightness down ever so slightly. So that's probably showing up a little better, isn't it? Okay. All right. So in order to get into the app, all you have to do is click the button that launches the app. Pretty amazing. And what I'm going to do here, just because it's kind of set up for the way that we currently have it, what I'm going to do is kind of start off brand new. I'm going to start off here, and you can see I have legal and illegal frequencies if I wanted to scan them. And since I'm scanning on a receiver end, it's no issue. Let me take your comment away there. It does say, just real quick here, he would be interested in a Windows app to use with the Surface Go. That's something that who knows if that's coming down the pipe just yet, but maybe in time. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Wait a minute, I'm going into the wrong place. I need to hit the plus. And now I can name a location. What we're going to call this is live stream. And in order to basically have this be, something that we could use specifically with certain transmitters, you have a list of transmitters you can choose from. If I choose none, then it's not going to have any. And I'm going to go ahead and go that route for right now because I'm going to at least show you how to add a transmitter in there. You can change your frequency settings. So like if you're like here in the United States, 470 to 608 is the standard legal frequency range that we can access here. And then from there, so if you wanted to, if you're using just the guard band or duplex caps frequencies, or if in your country, you could go up higher, you could go up to 698, or you could go up into like, you know, when we used to have block 33 here, which was great, we could get up to, what was it? 859.9 or something like that was the top of block 33 at the time before it was killed on June 12th, 2010 from us. Anyway, now here's another really cool thing that you have here is activate exclusion list. Now, what are exclusion lists? I'll show you here in a second. But what I'm going to do right now is this is just set up bare bones and basic right here the way it is. Now, let's go, since I just mentioned exclusion lists, we could do this. Actually, I'm not going to even get into that just yet. Let me add transmitters. So we're going to go to list manager. If I wanted to create a new list, I will call that live stream. Again, I have totally misspelled that. Okay. So now we have this in here. I'm going to add a transmitter. Now, the transmitters that we are using, I need to pull these out. Put them, I have them in the case that you gave them to me in, Scott, so that way they would be safekeeping. It's actually incredibly easy to add a transmitter, and I was actually really, really impressed with that as well. So over here, transmitter 1, I'm going to call red. I'm just going to name it red. And I will select the color red. So that way we're going to know that transmitter 3, as it's listed here, is red. Now you can go in here and choose what kind of transmitter it is. We're going to say this is a Zaxcom TRX. We're going to go TRX, and then it says, oh, which one is it? There's different blocks here. Is that too bright to see on the screen? Let me try to take this brightness down a little bit more.
Yeah, take it down just a hair.
How about that? Is that better, or is it still too bright?
A little more down.
Okay. It's so dim on my screen here, but it's bright there. Is that better right there?
Looks okay for me. It's just small.
It's small.
Yeah, can you put yourself in a full screen?
Yes. Oh, that's a great idea. I should definitely do that. That should also feed my ego nicely. Okay. So, all right. So here's the blocks. You can see it has blocks based on the, the frequency ranges and stuff like this. But this is a TRXLA 3.5. So all I have to do here is go down to the 0.5. And as soon as I choose that, it says, oh, here's the frequency range for the Zaxcom 3.5. And then from here, I'm going to change my maximum frequency down to 608. So that way I'm transmitting in the legal spectrum. So that's the only change that I'm going to do here. I don't need to change the low end. I'm only going to change the high end. Now, it does have, if you happen to have a transmitter that has different step sizes, you can change the step, the frequency step that you can use if you would like to. So if you're using, for example, some electrosonics transmitters that go in down to like 25 kilohertz steps, you can do that as well. I'm just going to leave it on 100 kilohertz right there. I'm going to save this transmitter. But then
what's the range of the brands that are in there? Like how many brands, how many different models does this thing have loaded?
I will tell you, it's actually very surprising. But real quick here, you notice that I hit another transmitter. I just hit to add a transmitter here, and it automatically assumes that you're going to be using more of the Zaxcom TRXs right there. So it basically duplicates the settings right here so that I can just change. If I'm going to go in camera order, I'll go in blue next, and then I will select blue. That's not blue. It's so dark on the screen. I guess we'll call it blue. It looks blue enough. And then I'll save the transmitter. And then I'll hit add again. And so, because we have a total of 3 here, I'm going to do the exact same thing. But I will answer your question here momentarily. I'm not going to put you on the back burner too long on that one, because that is a great question. I'm going to save this one. And you can tell that right now I'm actually going very quickly through the whole setup process on this, despite my holding it up at a really wacky angle for me. let me actually change this to a different color. I'll call this one gray. I'm going to spell it the North American way too. And save. And then the last one right here, we will change that color to yellow. So we'll call this yellow. Now, if you did want to add another transmitter that was a different brand, click that add transmitter, and then you can go in here and say, what are the different choices? There's a pretty extensive list here. If you notice, it has a lot of choices.
But I can see a whole bunch.
It says like AKG 450, AKG 4500, audio limited 2020, audio limited 2040, audio limited 1010, audio limited EN2, Audio Technica, audio wireless, Comtech. It's electrosonic digital, electro digital hybrid, a whole bunch of things. It's got a lot of.
And I must add that it's pretty easy to add some transmitters. So I already had some customers asking me for I did Electrosonics, UHF, EFB series, or I already had 4 or 5 transmitters on a user request. So it's pretty easy and quick to add if I missed some.
So
you can add your own profile if you want to add a profile for a transmitter.
You can.
Yes, there is a custom.
Can you add a profile for a set of transmitters? Say you always use the same transmitters in your kit.
We're getting ahead.
Okay.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you here in a second. But now, real quick here, I added this 6 transmitter, and I only have 5 transmitters in my standard kit. So I'm going to click that and the little delete button here. Are you sure you want to delete this transmitter from the list? Yes. Now this list is called Livestream. I'm going to save this list right here. So now Livestream set up. And this and what is I'm not going to actually go over there to add another list. We're going back home, list manager. You see now I have the ones that you gave me before, and then I've re-added them here for the live stream. But what I'm also going to do here is I need to go into my settings here. And now what I could do is say add. Oh, let me go full screen here for a second. What I can do is choose which frequencies I want to use at this location. Now it's out of focus. Brilliant. And I'm going to use live stream. So now at this location, it's going to be using those transmitters, the ones that I just got through setting up. So it sees, it populates those 5 transmitters right here into the list. And now for this location, which I could do either my house here, legal frequencies or illegal frequencies, or it's live stream. So anytime I go to scan the air right here, and this could be set up, just so you know, as standard package or as, whatever. I just call it live stream for our purposes here. You don't have to change this and build a new location every time you go. It could be, my bag rig, or if you're using the Zaxcom Nova, or you're using, whatever your package happens to be. It could be set up and named whatever you'd like it to be. Okay, so from here, I'm going to hit scan. It says, are you sure you want to scan the spectrum, this location with gain level 2? Let's talk about the gain levels real quick. Now, there are, if you go into the settings here, various different, it says, I went into the wrong place, didn't I? That's the wrong place too. It's settings up at the top. That's it. It has settings for gain levels 1 through 7 that pop up down there. Now, you mentioned to me, Greg, I'm going to come out of here real quick, that 2 seems to be a pretty standard and a good rule of thumb to go by. Why is that? Why is that? Why would you, and when would you want to drop it down to 1 or go up to 7?
Well, it's all about, noise floor. So the higher the gain, the more noise floor you will get. But of course, the weaker signal you will be able to detect. But in our jobs, like location sound or live sound, or broadcast or this kind of stuff, I just, by trial and errors, I tried, and I found that with a gain of 2, and 2, when I say 2 in the app, it's not the real gain on what's happening behind it. I just tried to keep it simple. It's more than enough to check on what will disturb your signals, and it's more than enough to detect your own transmitters, like your receiver would. And so, and you will go lower, of course, if you are closer to, if you have some very close transmitters to your SDR dongles. Then you can lower the gain, not to overload the receiver.
And that's exactly what I'm going to do right here for my purposes. I'm going to drop this down to 1 because up here where I live in my undisclosed location, I'm not going to really run into a whole lot at all. Now, let me also address a couple of things here. You see that there's also, and I'm going to go full screen on this again. The app scans natively without a separate device. No, actually, that is where you need to get this tuner and the OTG dongle that fits your particular device or phone. So that I wanted to address real quick. And there's links down in the description if you'd like to click on the ones that go to what we're using in this video. Now, on the settings screen, which was, if you go up here, the very, very top, I'm going to go full screen again. In here, and then go to settings. It has transmit bandwidth and intermod bandwidth, and it has low display resolution threshold. Would you please tell us what those are for? So
the TX bandwidth and intermodulation bandwidth, it will affect 3 things. It will affect for the auto mode, but I think maybe you will want to talk about it later. It will affect the space you are going to reserve for one transmitter. So like if you, I don't know how it's set up on your app, but let's say it's 800 kilohertz. So it means for every transmitter will occupy a space of 800 kilohertz in the scan. It's not the actual in the app. Yes, of course, in the app, not in the real life. Yes. So when you put the auto mode, it will make sure that no transmitters are closer than 800 kilohertz from one another. It will also affect the display. When you will look at the frequency list, you will see some frequencies which are green, which means they are clean, which are red, which means there is, so in the case of TX, another TX transmitting at this frequency, and some other ones will be orange, and it means you are within these settings, this bandwidth. And it will also affect just the display on the chart, the size of the red bar which shows the TX. The transmitters will have the same size as the setting you have set up in there.
And that's
for the intermodulation bandwidth, it's the same.
Go ahead.
And so for intermodulation bandwidth, it's the same principle, just for intermodulation and not for transmitters. And for the last settings, so the display resolution is just because for the charts to display a lot of values. On some low-end phones, it can become laggy. So then you can just choose to show a 25 kilohertz resolution compared to the 5 kilohertz resolution which you normally have. And it's just the display which will go at 25 kilohertz, but the scan will stay at 5 kilohertz, and the data will stay at 5 kilohertz. Just the display will be lower.
Gotcha. So just the display. That's good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save on these settings right now, and let's go ahead and do a scan. And it says, are you sure you want to scan? I'm using gain level 1, which is not the default. The default is gain level 2, but I'm going to use gain level 1 because I'm not going to really have a lot of things. I'm pretty far away from the city up here. So I'm going to hit yes. Now it accesses the driver, and now it's scanning the air. Now I do want to point out something here for anybody watching. The display you're going to see is not in any kind of, it's not displayed in either dBm, dBW, or dB microvolts. It's just displayed in its own like 50 decibels of range, and it doesn't really have a its own special. It kind of has its own special internal metering, and it only shows about 50 dB of resolution. Now, you may look at that and say the noise floor is extremely high right here. That's what that basically is it looks like it's going all the way up to -30. Here's the thing. This is just using this tuner right here. Okay. This is not representing anything more than just the display here. It's nowhere near as sensitive as the scanners are built into your transmitters, or your receivers rather. And it is just it's using the tuner built into this $30 adapter, 25, whatever you happen to get, is not going to give you the resolution that something like your D squared is going to be, or your Zaxcoms are going to be, or your WYSICOMs are going to be. This is a lower res. But that's one of the cool things about this app is that in time, there will probably be, maybe Greg will have some influence or find some really cool, much higher resolution tuners that he's going to recommend. Keep in mind also, this is Genesis. This app has been out for only about 2 weeks. It's very early on. If it's not where you would want it to be just yet, give it some time because it's actually quite powerful at what it does so far before even launch. And so let's look at what it did right here. It has scanned the air and it's basically determined that it's pretty clear. I mean, you can see that there's literally nothing here that it's having an issue with. If you were shooting in the big city, in a biggest city nearby, and it looked like this, you would be in heaven. You'd love that. So I'm going to pick just one transmitter, and you could go through here and look at potential modulations. Now, if it shows up in green, actually, I tell you what, this is a really good time right now. It says right here, free, 2T30, 3T30, 2T50, and 2T70. Would you tell us what those things are? Because it took me a little while to get my head wrapped around what that exactly means. But Greg, could you tell us what that means, please?
Well, that's a bit more technical, but those are, so free means it's about other transmitters. So if it's free, it means there are no other transmitters on this frequency. And then 2T30s, 3T30s, it's about intermodulation. So the first part, 2T or 3T, relates to the number of transmitters. So 2T is 2 transmitters and 3T is 3 transmitters. And the second part is what we call the order. So third order, fifth order, or seventh order. And then it's just a calculation, which is pretty simple, actually. It's just addition and subtraction of frequencies. And so the lower the order, the worse the intermodulation is going to be for us. So like, for example, in our cases, if you can avoid a 2T70, it's better. But in real life, you should not be too worried about 2T70s. 2T30s, yes, you should really avoid.
Yeah. And if any of this is going over your head already, I did release a video this last Monday that talks about the basics of RF modulation and intermod. Now, just to give you an idea here, since there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, oh, this is kind of cool. Let's look at this. I'm going to keep things kind of simple here for a second. Since I scan the air, I'm going to choose a frequency here of 520.00 for this one. Save this transmitter. So I've now assigned this 520. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Why'd you choose that? I'm going to show you why. Because I'm going to go and choose 530.0 on another one. And, okay, we don't really have any conflicts yet. Now I'm going to choose another one, and let's go to 540. See where I'm going with this? So either Cujo or Scott, you want to tell us what the issue is if we go to 540?
Give us a full screen of you, Alan.
Oh, okay.
I want to see what you're up to.
Questions that no one has ever asked me.
So your frequencies before were 520 and what was
530 and 530. And now this is 540.
Well, I mean, if you space them evenly, then you and I both know that's going to be on the harmonic, just as you would with any sort of a musical note. Your harmonics are going to fall.
And right there, the intermod is showing up as a little red line right there on the third order. So Greg just got through mentioning third order harmonics are going to be an issue. It says there's 2 transmitters, third order harmonic right there. And if you click on that, what is it? If I thought that if you click it, I'm probably
no, it will be on the home screen here. Right
there. It says it's caused by 330 and 520. These are third order harmonic issues caused by a transmitter that's on 530 and on 520. So it already is telling us that there's intermod issues, and it says, whoa, this 520 and this 540 are an issue right now. And it's lit up all red saying, hey, error, problem here. And at this point, you can actually scroll down here and choose a different frequency if you'd like to. What I'm going to choose is, I'm going to say, let's go to 545.0. Save.
So it'll show you which transmitters are interacting with each other. It just doesn't say this is a bad frequency. It actually tells you what you need to do about it.
When you go over here and actually click on and hold the screen right here on a transmitter, it says this one's clean. So now by changing 520, 530, this one's 545. The intermod, even though you might say 545, that shouldn't be that far off. It's actually still 15 megahertz off from this one. It's still 25 megahertz off from that one. And even though it's still pretty tight, and the numbers are all even, there's not really any intermod issues. But if you notice here, it's starting to get a little bit noisy in the spectrum. It's starting to, the little red line there. What does this red line mean there, Greg?
It's just a display. So we have a more or less 50 dB dynamic on the scan. And so I just divided it in 20 parts. And so the more green you have, the less noise you have, so the better it is.
So I can go over here, click on this transmitter and say, well, geez, that one here is showing up as a little bit of red. I'm going to actually just pick a different frequency. Now there are values here listed. This one's like negative 37.8, negative 37.0, negative 37.3. There's various different values here, and you can choose one if you'd like to. Now, as I'm scrolling through, you're going to see that there are a few red lines popping up. It says free. No, that one's not free. You should not go to that frequency. If I scroll over here and find some more, you're going to see that it's going to light up other things. Like this one has an issue with 3 transmitters in a third order harmonic. So if I click on that and selected that, it would have some major issues here. Now, I'm going to go back in. See here, it says 250 is actually caused by 535 and 530. So I'm going to go back over here and choose a different frequency. Or one of the things you also have the option of doing is hitting auto. And it's going to look and say, based on the noise floor, which is listed here, the best value is negative 41.2. And it says right here is our recommendation. I'm going to hit save right there. So now it's going to choose the best one. And now notice how small the noise is right there. So it's actually lower noise on this transmitter. You see there's more green there than there is red there versus this one here that has this amount of red and that amount of green, and this one here. Now, I'm looking at this thinking, do I really want to manually coordinate everything? No, I'm just going to hit auto here. And I'll say, yeah, I'm going to auto allow it to pick frequencies for me based on what it feels is going to be best based on my scan. And look at this. Almost no red, and it's all green. So now I can go through here and set all my frequencies on my transmitters to match this based on what we see on the screen. It did all the calculations for us based on the scan. I'm going to do another scan right here. And I'm going to then do the same thing again and see if there's any difference now. I have not turned anything on, by the way. All my transmitters down here are still off. Scanning the air. It's passing 550, 560, 570. It's going to do some math here, some calculating, say displaying the values. And again, I'm going to hit auto and I'm going to let it say, based on this scan, let's see if it changed anything. Got a little bit better, actually. So now I can go through here and select all my frequencies on my transmitters to match those. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that for a second and put, like, for example, set all the transmitters on to these values. And then I'll bring them up here in a second. But for right now, I'm going to go full screen again while I work on that. So far, does anybody have any questions? Let's see. Portable modernized version of the IAS is extremely welcomed for high channel RF requirements. Very happy to see what you're doing here and can't wait to see how far it can go.
Thank you.
Comment, Doc. Doc is, of course, the mastermind behind Halter Technical headphones. On a 2T, what is expected bandwidth limitation?
I don't really get the question. Like how large the setting should be for intermodulation setting? If this is the question.
That is I'm not 100% sure I understand the question either. Does Scott or Cujo, do either of y'all have any insight? Because I don't fully understand that question either. I kind of asked it, hoping somebody else would actually.
Most softwares use anywhere from 300 to 400 as your intermod calculation, depending on the brand and model of the transmitter. So that would be about the best answer that I would know to give for that question.
Yeah, a lot of the times, if we have a device, wireless transmitter from a specific manufacturer, calling the manufacturer, they can tell you the best settings if you're trying to do specific coordination. They're really good about working with you to get your coordination software dialed in to keep the intermod down, because they're going to know about what their specific wireless products are dealing with as far as modulation. Some are more susceptible than others. But yeah, the wireless manufacturer would definitely be a point of contact if you wanted to dial it in specifically. Do you have some base settings that the app uses, Greg?
The base settings so this is what we just saw before. So the app doesn't take into account the specific deviation of every transmitter. So it's more like a generic bandwidth you will allocate for every transmitter and for every intermodulation. So I think the default setting for intermodulation is 200 kilohertz, I think, but you can go up to, I don't know, 1 or 2 megahertz. And it will, I think, if I understand what the question, it's also the bandwidth of the intermodulation will depend on the deviation from the transmitters creating the intermodulation. The larger the bandwidth, I guess, the larger the intermodulation will be.
And you guys can find those deviations in the product manuals. They're listed in all the product manuals for your transmitters.
Yeah, most of them, yes.
Our next question here is, will it be compatible with the E4000 tuner?
It will come, not yet, but it will come. But the E4000 tuner has a smaller bandwidth, so it will come eventually, yes.
Okay.
Now, what is the E4000 tuner for folks that don't know?
Sorry, it's just another, you have those SDR dongles, and so those ones are using the R820T2 tuner, which is the one which is working with the app right now, and it's the easiest one to find. And you have other models, like for example with E4000 tuner and so on and so on. And I will add them also to the compatibility list, of the app. So it's just another tuner for the dongle, SDR dongle.
And what kind of price range are these tuners going for?
There will be more or less the same. They're just, I think, I'm not sure on this, but I think they are just a little bit older than the new one, like the actual one. And yeah, it's more or less the same price.
Yeah, they're not that expensive, which is quite impressive right now. What's able to be used with this this app? You're talking about an investment of only like $50 to get yourself in the door on this, which is quite impressive for what it's able to do for you, especially if you have no other. I mean, if you're going out there with a bunch of standalone scanners, you have to you basically turn on your receiver, scan the air, set your transmitter, and then hit the button and to save it, and then you have to do another scan. Turn on your second transmitter, scan again, do that with a third, and then rinse and repeat. This does a scan for you, tells you what your frequencies should be set to, and then it steps away. So that's actually pretty cool. Will those AirMod warnings pop up if you tell the app you're using only digital transmitters?
Yes, no, it will always pop up. It takes it to the app will just think, this frequency is taken, and if you mix it with these other frequencies, it might create intermodulation. But then if yourself, that this is digital transmitters and you should not have any intermod, then you just don't care about the warnings from the app, and it's fine. And yeah. But yeah, the app will think there is intermod.
It says, okay, thank you for the answer. That answers my question. So the bandwidth would be a sliding window. I can get that from manufacturer specs. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
As a general rule, just for bandwidth specs, as a general rule, if you want to go with just some basic numbers, most professional manufacturers will allow somewhere between 800 and 900 kilohertz between standard frequencies, and somewhere between 300 and 400 for intermod. So if you keep those numbers in your head, you can usually stay in a safe place.
And that's under settings right here is where you would set that. Currently, I just have it to 100 kilohertz of 100 kilohertz, which is not right at all.
Yeah, that's low. That's low.
I was playing with settings and going through and seeing how that actually changed it, and that's where it happened to land on. So I'll change it to what you were saying, Cujo. It says 800 kilohertz right there, and then intermod. What'd you say? 400?
Yeah, go either 300 or 400. Electro is usually between 300 and 400 kilohertz on intermod, and Shure is usually in the 300 range. So if you stay in between 300 and 400, you'll be in safe territory for just about everything that is modern and professional.
All right, so I went ahead and did exactly that. 800 kilohertz is what the transmission bandwidth is set to, and the intermod is set to 300 kilohertz. So that is now going to save. Now, if you notice now, it has, am I glitching to anybody? It looks like it's stuttering a little bit on my screen here.
You're stuttering a little bit. You're still clear.
A little bit.
Okay. I'll try to stay very still so that way no one will notice. If you notice, there's little bitty red lines that have now popped up. That is showing us where each of these transmitters would fall. So if I go right in the middle of that, it says right here, 588.3, which that would show me that it is this first transmitter, red, right here. Now, here's another really cool thing that it has is live check. Live check is something that I actually thought was really cool. Now watch live check. I'm going to choose 3. I'm going to hit start. And I'm going to choose live check on 3. Now what it's doing is it's looking at the spectrum right there. Now let's turn on a transmitter and see.
Can you go full screen, Alan?
I'll do that. I will absolutely do that. Let's go full screen on this right here. Now I've got live check running, and did I pick the right transmitter, or am I messing up? Let's see, 588.3. That is the right one, isn't it? No, I went to the wrong one. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, when I changed the intermod, it changed all the frequencies. Brilliant. So, well, that makes sense, actually. It's a smart system. Okay, so now I need to go back, exit live check, and I should, well, no, there it is again. These are all right. Okay, so let's go to live check. Let's try this again.
I must add this live check is a
live stream. That's the reason why. I did live check of the wrong one. It's still set up for the one that I did testing under. Now it's set for live stream, which is the reason why if I hit start now and then hit the first transmitter, there it is. That's the reason why. It was my user error. That was not the problem of the app. But you see how you also have your list of your transmitter lists right there that you can pop up and check any of them if you want to. Let's just say you're using four channels of wireless, and then you're like, well, I'm having some issues here. I might want to see if it's clearer on my other set of transmitters. You could do that. So right now I'm going to kill this transmitter, and you're going to see instantly it dies. Do you notice that? It instantly died. If I turn it back on, it's powering back up. And as soon as it goes live right here, booyah, you see the little spike coming up, and it's watching it in real time, the frequencies. So real quick here, this is one thing that is live check right now, Greg, on one of the newest the firmware that people, or the app version that people can download right now, is live check a feature. Okay, so this is a feature.
Right now it's beta. Yeah, it's a beta feature right now.
It's a beta feature right now. Well, I'll tell you, there's a couple of things that I would like to see. I can't zoom in or zoom out, so I can't see the full spectrum here. That's one thing. But I can go over here to the next transmitter, and then if I want to turn this one on, you will see instantly when it goes live, because booyah, there it comes right up in the middle. You can see where that transmitter is now on. That's just live check. So I'm going to go ahead and, for our purposes here, I'm going to turn on all of our transmitters, going full throttle with 5. And if you watch the video that I released on Monday about intermods, you will know that this is right now creating an RF situation. It's going to be even better because I'm stacking all the transmitters on top of each other. Okay, so I'm going to exit the live check right now. But if I wanted to just so that it's been said, if I wanted to hit the live check, I could bounce around to each one of the frequencies and look at them. They all look healthy. They're all very strong. But I could look at it to see if like one of them looks weaker, one of them looks stronger, or if there's anything else in the air that's gack in the air that I would need to be concerned about. If one of my frequencies, for example, all of a sudden is like getting a lot of hits, I could bring it up in live check and say, is there anything that should be an issue right there? I'm going to hit stop for right now. I'm going to go back from live check, and I'm just going to do a scan of the air and say, let's check the air now. Now, because all 5 of these transmitters are currently on, we're going to see a bunch of little spikes popping up in there. Now, this is where one of the things I thought was really creative about the app is that the tuner itself is fairly inexpensive. But even then, with a cheap app and with the with an inexpensive app and an inexpensive receiver, it's still pretty accurate with its display of the frequencies. Now, if you notice, we now have all these little spikes right on top of where our modulation is taking place, where these the little gaps for the frequencies. And if I were to choose right here in the very middle of that, I'm going to turn it towards myself for a second. Right there in the very middle of that peak right there, it says 535.2. And that happens to coincide perfectly with 535.2 right there. Despite the fact that it's only a $20 tuner or something like that, it's that accurate. It's spot on. If you go to the very tip top part of the little spike there, I thought that was really impressive. It's that accurate. On the RF Explorer, it's not quite as accurate. It's usually within a 2 or 3 100 kilohertz off, but still it gets you in the general ballpark. This nails it. I thought that was really impressive. And if you go over here, you can start to see some of the inner mods popping up. That would be from all the inner mods that would show up from the frequency coordination with other transmitters. So a lot of these would be like 3rd order, 5th order, 7th order, perhaps, but we're not running into any modulation issues. But if you notice now, because we scanned the air after we turned on the transmitters, now it says, whoa, there's a lot of RF in the air. Those seem like pretty strong signals on those frequencies, but we know that those are us, so we don't need to be all that concerned about it. But I thought this was a really cool feature that you could zoom in, you can scroll around, look at your different frequencies, the gaps that they have, or you can just click right here and look at potential intermod issues. If you start to scroll through the frequencies, you can actually say, oh, it's relatively clear. Oh, this whole area seems to be pretty bad for intermod. So some 3rd order intermod issues. There's some 5th. No, that's still 3rd. That's some 5th right there. And there's a pretty big gap there that would be an issue. I'm just going to back out of that, though. I don't need to adjust that frequency.
I think that's a very reasonable display for having the transmitters right there blasting it.
Yeah. I've actually been, like I said, very impressed by the development, the way that it seems to be pretty well attuned to what we'd want it to be. I mean, keeping in mind, this is entry level. This is not going to be a rival to your professional high-end wireless and its ability to scan, but it's also nowhere near the price. It's not built into a $1,500 transmitter. This is less than $50 for this entire thing. I mean, unless you do what I did and buy an entire tablet just to use it. But, this here is actually really impressive to me. I was very, very pleased when I saw this. Let's go through some of these questions here. Do I advise any particular tablet? I just bought the Samsung Galaxy Tab. What is this? A7, I believe it is. I bought it for 2 reasons. Number one is if I'm going to set this thing up and buy something for using an app and for using for sound speeds related things, I thought the idea of it having Dolby Atmos, it's like, what tablet has Dolby Atmos that's still like under $300? This is like $250. I was like, because it has 4 speakers on it. It's like, I mean, it's still not true Dolby Atmos, but 1, 2, 3, 4. If I want to watch a movie, if I want to watch Dune, I can be like watching it and be pretty immersed in it, all things considered, from a tablet. So I thought that was pretty impressed. But tablet would be your choice. I do have a link to the tablet that I bought down in the description if you're interested. Tom Cracker, great app.
Sorry, you just need Android 6 at minimum, and you absolutely need the OTG capability for the tablet. Most of them have it today, so it's not an issue to find a tablet with OTG, but just make sure it has OTG and Android 6 minimum, which I think, yes, please.
It should be. Android 6, I think, is an older version. When did that one come out? In like 2016?
Yeah.
Something like
Probably
that.
Something
and
like
OTG, I think, has been pretty standard in tablets for at least 10 years or something like that. So OTG is on the go. It basically allows you to do things like plug in dongles, which is what it's doing right now. That's what OTG is basically standing for. Not just plugging in your phones and devices to charge, but it allows for something like that. Now, if you were to set this thing up, here's something else real quick. Actually, I'll get into that here in a second. Let's answer some of these questions here. Great app, Greg. Is the scan function a one pass and done, or is it possible to have it continuously scan for a pseudo real-time monitoring display? It's funny you should ask that, because I mentioned the same exact thing to Greg. I said, is that something that you're working on? And he said,
I do, yes. This is something which will come. So it's not as ready as a live check mode, which is pretty close to be released. But yes, there will be a mode where you can just continuously scan, and it will update every time and keep the maximum value. And so you can check and just let the app run for a few minutes or hours and check for like spikes or this kind of stuff. So yes, it's coming, Tom. Yeah.
And one of the things I mentioned that would be really helpful is if there was even a couple of features where you could set it to scan like every minute or scan to every 5 minutes or something like that. And if there was a built-in way of seeing the average over the course of a certain number of scans, over 5 scans, over 10 scans, that way you can see if the RF environment that you're in is starting to wake up and get more active. Or if you're like, whoa, something just happened and it was better. And if you could even like make a list, Greg, if it retained the scans, you could say, wait a minute, the scan that happened at this time was this one, and it was so much better. What went on in that 2-minute gap or the 3-minute gap? I thought that'd be really awesome too.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yes, it's a good idea.
So something like that, because I mean, how many times have we been on location and we're like, all right, something just came on because all my wireless just went to crap right now. What just came on? And you know what's going on, that there's something in the air, but you could physically look at the screen and see that there's some RF issues in your area.
And that's something that mixers need to understand is really important about these sorts of devices, and why they should have a portable RF scanner in their gear is because you can take it on the go. If you have a question about, is a camera giving me problems, you can go take your little tablet up to the camera and go take a look at it. If you have a Scout, you can go take it on the Scout and go see the different spaces that you're going to be working in. You don't necessarily have to get your rig out.
And this would also come in handy tremendously if you were going on a location scout, for example. I see the Queen behind you. Hello, Pam. She's gone now, but there she is. Hello. It's great to see you again. But having something that's small and portable like this would be great. Hold for sound. Or hold for location. Bad location. But having something like this that you could take on a location scout is invaluable. A lot of the times people will think about the environmental sounds that you hear. Oh, there's a buzz coming from there. Air conditioning systems on there. Can we control that? But RF is a huge part of what we do now. And it's gotten even worse the past few years, especially with our spectrum shrinking. So having something like this would be very beneficial. A lot of the times in the past, people have done things like if they want to take something like the RF Explorer, they'll take this, but even this display is very low res in comparison. So you'd have to take this and a laptop, which is another funny thing that I did also. Just because I bought an RF Explorer, I was talking to my sound mixer, Shirley, and said, you know what? I'm going to impulsively buy an RF Explorer. And because I'm me, I also decided to impulsively buy a laptop to go along with it. So it's a dedicated laptop for it. But who knows if anybody's ever going to want to rent it or use it or something like that. If I want to loan it out, I don't want to have to loan out my laptop or say, you know what, install all this stuff on your computer. But this here is a pretty high res, display that you're able to look at, and you're able to zoom in here. And I can only imagine that in time, Greg will find a higher quality with more dynamic range tuner that will work even better in time. Remember, if you're watching this, there's 22 people in here right now. This is Genesis. It's only been out a couple of weeks. And for being out for only a couple of weeks, think about, the first iteration of anything. Can you even name the first search engine? I remember Alta Vista and Yahoo was before Google ever popped up, but those were nowhere near as developed. Usually the very first few iterations of a piece of software aren't anything to write home about. They're not great. This is actually a lot better than I would expect.
A quick point.
Yeah. It's a lot better than I expected it to be.
There is nothing that exists at this price point with this level of flexibility and this level of accuracy. So there's no reason at all to downgrade this or to think it's amateur or anything at all.
100% agree.
This is absolutely field usable by anybody that's in our business. Sorry about the airplane. I'm at the beach. It's just some guy. But there's there's nothing at all at this price point that gives you this level of stuff. Even RX Explorer Pro, which is a couple of $100, still gives you nice scans, but it does not at all give you the ability to ingest other brands of wireless and come up with a coordination plot. It'll give you frequencies you can use and intermods that you can work around, but there's no database of transmitters that you can just plug in and make work. So
100%.
At twice the price, this particular app is an absolute steal.
It is. And currently, are you still running the sale on it where it's only like $23, or has the sale ended?
No, it's over yet. It was for like 8 days or something.
Got it.
So it's
but the price right now is what, $45, $50, something like that?
Yeah, it will depend on your local tax, but it's more or less like this, around $50 US dollars.
And that's a steal. I mean, how many of us have the Electrosonics RM app on our phones? And that right there, all it allows us to do is dwell different tones on our Electrosonics transmitters. But even then, it's still $20. That app, you'll get use out of it if you use Electrosonics, but it's only usable in the Electrosonics world. This here is usable in everything from Sennheisers to Wizzies to Audio Technica to anything. That was one of the things that I was extremely impressed by, is the fact that this shows that you've not just, gotten this thing, put it out and said, hey, look, I found the ability to be able to scan the air. It's cool. And put it out there. You did a lot of stuff to this app to get it to be as good as it is. It's actually really, really polished already. I have not been able to crash it. I have tried various different things. I've done, buttons here and there, and I've tried pretty much a whole bunch of different, zooming in. I've tried looking at, like, if I click on a particular transmitter, I've checked to see if the actual frequency that it nails is exactly matching down here, and it does. I mean, which is quite impressive as it is. So, I mean, this is a very polished app as it is, and it's only going to get better, which is what's really exciting. I mean,
thank you, Adam.
I mean, that's to me, it's really cool. And then even then, if you decided on the fly, you said this 591.8, help me remember that, guys, 529.8. If you decided you didn't like it and you wanted to scroll up here someplace and say right up here, I want to pick that one. Or even better, you could say this one transmitter is now giving me issues. Let's do an auto, check the air. And it says, okay, well, and it's going to pick one for you. It says right here is going to be the one that it picks right there. So that would become my new frequency. I mean, you just saw me refreak this thing. Now it's hovering right there in the middle. It says, well, based on this last scan you did, that's going to be the best place for that transmitter. So if that one transmitter starts acting up, which transmitter was that? I've now totally messed up my thing. So that's a 562. So that's green. So that's this one right here. If I were to change this now to 562.7, which I'm going to do right now as I'm talking to you, you're going to see it pop up in there if I do a scan again. But it allowed me to refreak that one transmitter and choose a frequency for it. And I'll do it again just to show you in case you missed it. I can say, okay, well, I could scroll through here and find something, but if this one transmitter is acting up on the frequency in my wireless, I'm going to hit auto. It's finding the best frequency.
And you're not losing a receiver to do a scan.
Right.
Having a device that's separate from your rig.
And okay.
I got a quick question, Alan.
Yeah.
And this is also for Greg. For those sound mixers in the United States that are still operating in illegal frequencies, can we open up the bandwidth or the scan parameters such that our colleagues can scan the quote-unquote illegal blocks and find holes to stick their block 24, 25, and 26 transmitters in?
Yes, you can add what I call exclusion list. So it will be band of frequencies you want to avoid. So they will still be scanned, but I think Alan is going to show us they will be marked as white, and they will be excluded from the auto mode and from the possible choice of frequency you have.
And that was actually something that I showed you at the very beginning, but I'll show you again real quick here because I kind of glossed over it real quick here. I'm going to set this frequency real quick, 562.7. And there we go. So now this frequency is set to 562.7. So if I hit scan, yes, something went wrong with the dongle. Oh, it's probably because I've been messing the thing around. Scan now. Something is wrong with the dongle again. Okay,
you disconnected it. Yeah.
Probably disconnected it. So I will put it back in there and we will try again. So now it's plugged back in. TX scan. Scan. Yes. Now it's finding it and it's scanning the air. The one thing that I'm going to mention here real quick is that when I just went into the frequency scanning, it's going to pop up right there. 562.7 is going to show up as a frequency that now it's going to discover some intermod in because I just changed the frequency there. But if I wanted to change one of these, well, it's scanning right now. It's almost done. And now it popped up right there. Tell me if I'm wrong on this. I just hit auto, which means it should be finding the best frequency, right? But it didn't pop up on my list. Is it because it showed me that right now the very best one is this one here? So yes, I just choose that one right there, and then I would hit.
Yes, actually, if you're putting the auto mode on a transmitter which has no frequency already set, so it's at 0, it will automatically select the first frequency. So what you're seeing on your screen after hitting auto mode is a list of frequency, like I think it's the 20 best ones. So the first one is the best one, and then the second and the third and so on. But if you already had a frequency set up, it will not automatically set up your frequency. So it means it will keep the frequency you had before hitting auto. And then you can choose to change the frequency by selecting the first one is the best one usually.
It's also right there. It's listed right there. So and to give you an idea, the best frequency it just found for me is 523.4, then 527.5, 580 or 595.4. What I'm going to do, because I just got through setting this up again, I'm going to go ahead and set this to 562.7. 562.7. It's oops, I didn't do that right. I need to back out of it first. 562.7 done. And now I'm going to save the transmitter. So now it's going to show back up in the modulation. To answer your question, Cujo, let's go up here to list manager again. I'm going to choose live stream. Remember this transmitter list? If you happen to have an illegal transmitter, I'm going to say add a transmitter here. And we're going to say, let's choose something fun. Let's going to say it's up at, let's say 8.
Pick something at pick something in 650 range.
Okay, so 650. We'll say 650 to, let's say 675. Okay, and I'm going to say it's the same the Sony. I'm going to still say it's a Zaxcom TRX, but I'm going to show this as a brown. I'm going to call this one illegal, just for our purposes here. Save the transmitter. So now we have our illegal frequency in there. I'm going to save the list again. Now, you'd probably also want to come over here and go into your setting itself, which is set up for live stream right over here. I'm going to go into my settings. And because we're now going into the illegal frequency range, I'm going to go up here and set this to 575, which I think is the top frequency I set it to. And then I'm going to save that as well. So now it's going to do a scan all the way up to 575. I'm going to do
675.
Oh, did I do that one? Did I do that one wrong? Let me see. Yeah, it's 675. I'm saying the wrong thing. I'm doing the right thing. So I'm going to scan the air now. Say yes, scan the air. And now it's going to scan all the way up to 675. It's gotten up through right now 520. So if you were using the guard bands, if you were using the duplex gap, and it would normally not show up in here, or if you were going to be transmitting in the in 941, for example, you could set it up here.
How low can this go? Can you look for a clean contact channel?
That's a good question. I think I remember seeing them in here.
Because you can't do a scan with a Comtech receiver.
Now wait a minute. Now, why did this show? What's going on here? Illegal.
I think, and because I can't really see your screen, so the illegal mic, is it a Zaxcom mic? Because if you change on the microphone, yes, you have to make a custom, because you can change the low and high frequency of a mic, but within the constructor's parameters.
Oh,
so
it was a check. It said, wait a minute now, the Zaxcom TRX doesn't go up to that.
If you have the TRX 3.6, those ones will do the 600 band if they're in there.
All right, let's do that.
3.6 should be in there. Yes, they will be.
Let's do we'll do exactly that. 0.6 right there, and we'll say the high frequency is now 698. We'll save this, and we're going to go back, and I'm going to change my scan now to 698. Okay. Save the settings, home, and scan. So you're right. That was a user error. That was me telling it to do something, and the system was like, wait a minute now, that's not right. Hold on a second. That transmitter can't go up that high, so it stayed. It threw an error. So that was user error. But now
it just stayed at the maximum. Yeah, it stayed at the maximum. If you go over the limit, it will just stay at the limit.
It scanned only up to 608 again. Did I not do something right? Because I thought that if I went to settings there and I changed this to 698,
yes, sure.
698 is the high frequency. And that is still set up. It still doesn't like it.
Yes, it has been scanned, but it has been. If you check on the chart on the right, what does it say? The frequency on the right.
Down here?
No, I mean on the scan. Because I can't really see, and I'm on my phone.
It's capping at 608.
Okay,
it's
that's not
right
normal.
there. It's still showing. So if I go over here to settings, it still says 470 to 698. What am I doing wrong here?
No, it should be in the location edit.
Oh, under the location edit. Okay.
You went into this. You went into the settings. No, because in the settings you just change the default setting when you hit default. Yes. So you have to go in the location setting and change in the location settings.
Okay.
Or actually, yeah, you can just
I've done it in location
settings
now. That makes sense. It was again user error. So the settings up here is defaults. It's the default setting range, default intermod, default frequency, that kind of thing. That makes sense then. So now it's scanning. It's passing. It's about to pass 600. So we'll see it. I wish this thing wasn't. Wish I could get it up on my computer. Let's look at a couple more of these questions here. Curtis says, "Nice work on this, Greg. Amazing stuff. Hope this app gets licensed by manufacturers and implemented into recorders. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Maybe in time it could be. How much battery does the app and tuner draw from the device?
The app, not much. The tuner does eat the battery. So that's why I recommend to use a OTG cable with a power input. I mean, just for one scan, it's not no issue. But if you want to use the live check mode, it's going to eat the battery pretty quickly.
And I'll show you that option here in a moment. But you've seen this on. I mean, we started this live stream an hour ago, and I've only used up 19% of this battery right now, and so it's probably mostly still screen use. Okay, so now I've gone through and I've scanned the air. Let's look at this illegal frequency here, and it's still. I'm going to say auto. Find me something.
No, but you have to add the exclusion list.
Oh, I was ignoring the exclusion list so far. I was just choosing the frequency. Okay. But that is a good segue though. Now I basically added for the illegal frequency though. It's chose the best one in the air is now 684.5. So if I had a transmitter that was in an illegal frequency and I wanted to use that, I could. But you could easily set this for the 6 megahertz in a duplex gap or, you know, passband, something like that. But that would be what it is. And if I say, you know what, I am going to be legal from now on, I'm going to go into my list manager here. I'm going to say, I'm going to delete this transmitter because I've no longer going to be using that because it's an illegal frequency. Save the list. And now we're back to our default right here. And therefore, I should change my high frequency limit down to 608 again. Oops, 608. Done. Save. Okay. So now we're back into our standard here. Let's talk about the exclusion list here for a second, what you mentioned. Let's just say that we do a scan, and I'm far from the city right now, so you're not going to see a whole bunch of other GAC in here. But let's just say you know that you're very close to the transmitter for channel 46, let's say. Go to the exclusion list, and I'm going to choose my country as the United States. I'm going to scroll down to channel 46. And notice there's a checkbox over here. I'm going to turn on the exclusion list in channel 46's bandwidth. And now I'm going to say add. Hit that little plus button there.
No, you don't need it. This is for add if you want to add a custom.
Oh, yes. Okay. You're right. Okay. So exclusion list. Let's make sure that I didn't turn it off. Okay. We still have the checkbox there under channel 46. And then I'm going to hit back. And now notice it has a little light up area right there saying avoid coordinating in those frequencies. So if I scan the air again, it's going to coordinate around that frequency, that gap that the frequency of the TV station would be in. So now it's going to, like right now, oh, look at this. It says, well, look at this right here. This one channel, there could be some intermod issues there. So it's changed one of my frequencies. It said that, I mean, I didn't have any frequencies in there before, but if I exclude those, it wants to make sure that the harmonics and the intermods rather are not going to be an issue with anything else coming from that frequency range that we're excluding. That to me was really cool too. So now I have to change the frequency again because I think it's that one. Let me see. Which one would that be?
Now, Greg, is there any way to pick a block of frequencies that you would like to put all your transmitters in, or certain groups of transmitters if you want to keep, say, comms transmitters in one section of the airspace and talent wireless in another section?
Well, you could play with the exclusion list by, like, if you want to put all your like, I don't know, your first transmitters in a certain band, you can exclude the rest of the frequency with an exclusion list, coordinate those transmitters, then remove the exclusion list, and coordinate the next ones. I'm not sure I'm making myself very clear. Yeah. Yeah, you understand me? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's super helpful because for a lot of our coordinations, we'll want to have certain transmitters away from other ones. If we have a someone who's wearing a comms transmitter, they might not want it on the same channels as someone else are going to be around.
And you could also you could also set it up. It looks like where you could have all your private line transmitters, or if you're sending it to video or you're sending it to anyone else, your private feeds are separate on your spectrum, maybe on the lower end or your higher end, and then your talent wireless would be in a totally different place there too.
Sure.
So,
yeah, in my bag rigs, I'll always put the hops transmitters way far away from what my receivers are trying to work on for the talent.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so then you have to play with the exclusion list, and you can make some custom ones, and you can add as many as you want.
So what I'm doing right now is I just turned on this transmitter again, and it because I realized my battery had died. I've been playing with this all week, so now I have to change some frequencies here. Right, this
from the transmitter,
new frequency, right? Yeah, 530.9. No, that's wrong. Where was it? Let's see. I just got to get over there and I have to check it. 5. There we go. 528.8. So I will change that, and then we're going to be good to go. Okay. Good. Okay, so I'm going to save this transmitter, and now it should be coordinated again properly since my battery died. Oops, I did the wrong one. That should be right. Oh, because I haven't scanned it since I did that. So let me scan again. When I scan again now, it should pop up. Okay, so it's coordinating away from my exclusion list, which is nice. I said, don't coordinate anywhere near channel 46. That would be bad. Let's see. Love how this app works across the board.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. This app is exciting. Closest alt solution I found is RF Explorer connected to an Android running Touchstone Pro. To have a scan of the CSV value to later coordinate with Shure WW. And yeah, that's a good point there as well. But the thing is, though, the standard software that comes with the RF Explorers, that right there, it doesn't coordinate frequencies. You have to spend money to get third-party softwares to go with it. I think I unplugged this dongle when I put it down because it's now saving the values, but it was having some issues in the scan. So basically, it's popped up exactly in there before. I'm going to turn off my exclusion list for channel 46. I'm going to say don't need to worry about that one anymore. Channel 46 is no longer an issue. So look at that. Pretty awesome. And again, if you missed this before, live check, start, and I'm going to just click on each one of my transmitters to see what the spectrum would look like where they are. I think I need to reset the dongle. I think I unplugged it. Oh, I'm also on the wrong transmitter range. No wonder. I keep doing that. Oops, I need to turn myself full screen. 1 second. Okay, so I'm back here doing the live check. Actually, I think I did unplug this. Let me actually do this the right way. Let me unplug this. Yeah, it said problem receiving the samples. When I put it down here, I think I unplugged it again. So I'm going to plug this back in. And now it's in there. So I'm going to hit TXAdvance. Let's go to live check. Start. Dongle not detected. Okay, so that's the tablet's issue, not the software.
Yeah, maybe if you disconnect it and...
I probably did something goofy to it.
Maybe you will need to kill the driver to restart it.
Yep, maybe. We're going to try this one more time. Okay, and I'm going to go to live check. I'm going to go to start. Now it found it. Oh, didn't find it again.
No, I think you have to kill the driver. If you disconnected it, maybe sometimes you have to just restart the driver. I don't know if you know how to do that.
I do not.
I don't know Samsung, but maybe just by holding the driver, you have the RTL SDR driver, and if you hold it a long time, you can go into settings.
Go into settings?
I don't have a Samsung. Yeah, and just find the driver, and you have, like, in English, it would be force stop. If you go in your applications and find the driver.
Oh, go into applications and find the driver? Okay.
Yeah, and if you click like for 1 or 2 seconds on the driver, does a menu appear?
Oh, I need to
see what I mean?
Okay, enable advanced mode.
No.
Oh, for streaming to the PC. Man, maybe I should have tried that one earlier when I was trying to set this thing up.
No.
So do what?
No. If you can go in your Android phone settings and you try to find the application just to force stop.
Do that.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. That's
sometimes if you disconnect and reconnect the dongle, then it will lose the connection and you have to force stop, and then by replugging the dongle inside, it will be fine.
So I'll do that. I'll force stop it. Use the force.
It should solve many issues.
Okay. Plug the dongle back in. I'll give it a couple of seconds. That way it hopefully warms up. All right. Let's try this now. Live check. Start. There we go. And there's a live check of 513.1. That means my transmitter probably died over there. Oh, no. You know what it is? It's because I'm in the wrong list again. That's why. Okay. Live stream list right now. There's one. There's the second one. There's the third one. There's the fourth one. There's the fifth one. These transmissions all look healthy. And there's nothing around there that looks like it's two frequencies competing in that area. But if we wanted to see what that would look like, let me change one of these transmitters, and I would say, well, let's look at that and see what it would look like if it was all jumbled up. We'll do that just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is, we'll call it 601.6. So I'm going to pop this up to 601.6. There we go. 602.4. Okay. So I'm going to go over here. And now look at this. Whoa. There's some weird stuff going on here now. So what I'll have to do is go in my transmitter here. And I'm going to change the frequency to 588.3. And you should see that spectrum suddenly clear up. Look at that. That's where it was. That's where it is now, just by me changing the frequency. So you could see that there was something in the air, but you could see right here, there was something that was higher that was there before, but now it's no longer an issue. So this shows you kind of a history. I guess this is a peak level. Is that what that is? Is this
Yes,
where? So
yeah, it just keeps the maximum value. Yes.
Maximum values. That's cool. So I can come over here.
Do you get that on the scans? If you do multiple scans, is there any way to have a peak?
Not yet. This is something I'm working on, and yeah, I hope like a loop scan, and it will just scan in circles and will keep the maximum value. Yeah, this is something I'm working on, but so far, right now, we can't do it yet.
And to be able to archive the last few scans would be awesome too.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Yeah, that would be really useful for going to a location and leave the tablet set up for an hour and just see what's in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I could easily imagine leaving this set up all day. I mean, how many times do you see mixers that leave a tablet set up as part of their setups? But then the issue that you might run into is battery. This is now at 98% battery. Well, this is where we're gonna get into another little thing here that I luckily am prepared for. I have not tried this yet, but this here is an OTG adapter, just like this one on the go. So they do make different adapters, but you need to make sure it says OTG. Now, what makes this one different is that it has two little bitty plugs off the bottom, and that is so that you can plug in your adapter and, in my case, power as well. So I'm going to now attach up power, and we're going to try this. I have not actually tried this live, so we're going to see if this is going to work. I could find the place it enters. So if my tablet starts smoking and my house catches on fire, I'm going to blame Cujo because he's not here. Okay. So it's now showing. You can't really see very well. But it shows that right up in there, you can't really tell, but it shows that it's now charging. There's a little bitty, I don't know if I can bring it closer. It's going to go out of focus because I have a fixed focus on it. But it does show me that it's charging. There you go. Cable charging right there. So now let's see if TXAdvance works. I'm going to go back to live. Let's do a scan of the air. Oh, something went wrong. I might, because I used a different dongle, I might need to force close the thing again. I'll do that. Right over here. Force stop. Okay. And let's try this again. Let's try it.
It doesn't launch.
Maybe it's the adapter, because it definitely worked with the other dongle. But let me see. Let me go over here. I'm going to force stop it again.
Maybe you can try, Alan, maybe you can try to plug the OTG cable in the tablet first, then plug the SDR dongle in the OTG cable, and at the end, try to plug the power.
Well, I'm going to try it this way first. I now have force closed because it might have been an issue because I force closed it before while it was connected up. That might have been the issue. Now I've force stopped it, force closed. Now I'm going to add it again. Tablet shows that it's charging. That's why the little battery thing came on there. I'm going to give it another few seconds, and then I'm going to start it up, and let's see what happens now. Scan something. Check the dongle is plugged in. Okay. Let me try to see if I can change the order of some stuff.
Yes, change the order of plugging. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm unplugging the power. I'm going to see if the this part of it is cooperating. So let me close the app. Whoops. Let me close the app. Unplug. I always do whenever I unplug and plug back in a USB-C. I always flip it around for some reason. I don't need to do that, but I do. Let's see if the adapter is working by itself. Scan. Okay. Okay, so it finds the adapter now. So something I did there, it's happy with. Now it's running a scan. So let's see if we can crash it. Make the world burn. Did it stop? Problem receiving IQ samples. Check the connection. So it probably doesn't like this particular dongle or adapter.
Like it. Yeah.
Okay. So, but I'm sure that there's something that will work, and so you can connect it up. But that at least tells me that the dongle down in the description, don't buy that one, because that's the one that I was using here just in case it worked. I expected it to work. But the point here is there is going to be an OTG dongle that would work for this at some point, and I'll probably order a whole bunch of these and see if I can find one that works so you don't have to. And then, but in the meantime, we're going to continue to use this the way as intended. So we will plug up the regular dongle. But that was a good test.
Yeah, that's a nice test. That's good to know. I will also recommend some cables which will work, because I also have a few which are fine.
So yeah, now it's working just fine. So when this dongle was the problem. But that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'll find a bunch of them, and I'll find something that works really well for it. So it's scanning the air. Should be done here in a second. In the meantime, Greg's solution seems so much more streamlined and expensive. It absolutely is. Oops. And then yeah, the active site study is a really nice for this price point. Oh, it's the same thing again. I'm sold. Thanks for all your time. Good job, Greg. Got to run. Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
So that hello guys, it's Lillian.
Hi.
You have to change the location too. Okay, yeah. Parameters.
Thanks,
that was 20 minutes ago. 25 minutes ago. I'm so far behind the chat. Can the app save scans from multiple locations and coordinate for all? Not at this time.
No,
but that's something that it will be able to do in time, but as of right now, it does not.
But I must say you can easily duplicate scans or duplicate list of transmitters, and when you duplicate a list of transmitters, you can change the frequencies of the duplicate, and it will not affect the original one. So you can keep the frequencies for every location.
So that would be here. Like if I'm going to delete this list because I keep getting messed up from it. But let's just say if I go into my list manager again and I want to duplicate this, you said that's the copy. Make sure you want to duplicate this list.
Yes. Okay. Can you go full screen, maybe?
I am doing that right now.
Yes, thanks.
And then live stream dupe. Yeah, sure. We'll call it that. And then we'll save the list. So now if I go under my list here.
If you go in your list manager. Yeah.
List manager right here. Live stream dupe. So now I'll do it again. I'm going to delete that list because I don't want it anymore. But what I do want to do is I'll go into my list manager again. I'm going to click on the device list that I do like. I'm going to hit the little copy button right down here. You sure you want to duplicate this? Yes. Now, another thing that I noticed that you can do is you can also export your list. You can export your transmitter list. So I guess that's if you have multiple devices and you wanted to change it, you could send the transmitter list to a friend of yours. Like if you have a partner that you coordinate with, or you want to send it to your sound utility so that they can put it on their phone, and you're a sound mixer, you could easily do that too. And
that sort of thing is really fascinates me for a mobile device, because you may have one person that's scouting a location, but you may want to shoot, that information, or once you get the CSVs implemented, being able to text it from a phone would be fantastic.
And it looks
actually,
like
you can export right now. You can export the scan also, so you can export the scan data and import it, of course, in the app. It's not in the CSV format. It's just a matter. I need to figure out how to convert the data from the dongle into a CSV readable file, like to export it in a wireless workbench or other softwares. But so right now it's not possible.
Yeah, it says import right there. So if I did save the file and I had it on my computer, I could, or my phone, I could actually email. It looks like I'd send the file, receive it, and then import it in here just by finding it. I would have to import the file, put it, I guess, in the right folder. There's nothing there, so there's nothing for it to import. But that's really cool.
Even at the most basic level, even if you just took a screenshot and sent it to someone, if you're working with an RF Explorer, that's not something that you're just shooting from the device itself. That's super handy.
Greg, do you think it will be possible to have an iOS version? He did address this at the very beginning.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it again.
Yeah, not possible at the moment because of it's due to some Apple restriction. It's not possible to communicate with the SDR dongle on an iPhone or iPad or whatever. So I'm sorry, I would love to, but I think it's the most asked question I've had since the release of the app. But
I'm sure
right now I can't do it.
Yeah. I'm absolutely sure it's the best. People love their iDevices, especially if you have an iPad right there next to you, being able to just connect up to it.
Yeah,
thanks, guys. Stay well.
Yeah.
Greg, do you think that? Well, there's the same exact question here. Apple restricts functionality. Is there documentation manual of the app available?
A little bit. I need to work on it, but there is a getting started PDF on the website. You can check the website, and there are a few videos, and there is a PDF. And then just try to hit every button, and you will see what it does. Yeah.
Okay.
But it will come, I hope.
And can you create a group of devices, assign a color and a frequency, coordinate that way? I think that's what we did at the very beginning when we set up our transmitter list. We did that a couple of times.
That would be a transmitter list, yeah. At what point? Yes, please.
I was going to say, just go back and watch the beginning of this video, Roberto, and you'll see that we set up a transmitter list, and it was just under List Manager, and then we have different transmitters. Now, the only thing I think that might also might be part of what he's asking here is if you could assign an actual color to this list right here. So like if Livestream had a color, like if you could say this list would be this certain color, so that you could see it from here. That way, if you were like me and you kept saying, what's the issue here? What's the issue here? When I go to live check, I kept having the wrong list up here. That would be something that would pop up here as maybe a different color because I didn't notice it at the beginning. That might be something that.
Maybe that's something.
Now, can you do groupings? Like, can you group your talent wireless, your booms, your comms, or your sends?
Well, you have to do it. You would have to do it like I'm thinking especially about the new Wizicom, with the MCR54, where when you set up a frequency, you have to stay within, I think it's 32 megahertz. So for this, you would need to change on the lower and high frequency of your transmitter to stay in a 32 megahertz window. So this is how you would group. But so far, there is no option as to like, I make group 1, group 2, group 3. Right now, you can't do it this way. You have to go through another way to achieve the same goal, if I make myself clear.
I'm looking at the Electrosonics IEM IFB. Well, no, let's look at something else. You were asking about Comtex earlier. Comtex,
yeah,
right
there. I am interested. Will it go that low to see the 216 or the
yes, it will.
72?
Yeah.
I'm there right now. I just got set up a transmitter name. I'm going to call it, oops, wrong button, Comtech. Okay, and then under my frequency list, it says 72 to 76, 76 to 88, or 216. So it does have that right there. And it shows the frequency low is 72.02. Frequency high is 75.98. I'm going to hit save transmitter. Oops, I'm going to give that one a color. Let's give that one kind of this pale looking color. Save that list. And so now I can coordinate if I wanted to go to, I guess I could set up a brand new scan of the air if I wanted to. What I'll do now is I'm just going to change over the actual frequency or the list of transmitters, and we'll do a scan of the air. Oops, I forgot to do something else.
You have to change the scan limit.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be 72 down there. Let's do it 78 there. Save. Now scan. Won't take very long at all to scan that, and it's completely free. So you could see what it would be like. So you could actually set up different lists and stuff. If you wanted to scan your IFBs and you wanted to scan everything there, you could. You could have it do one scan, then do another scan, then do another scan. And who knows, maybe down the list, I mean, maybe down the line, you could have even more. Like if you could set up multiple different lists, you could scan contexts, scan IFBs, then scan your Talent Wireless and create lists and have it, have multiple lists that you could just choose which thing. I mean, this is, again, if you're just tuning in, this is Genesis. This has only been out like a couple of weeks. So there's the possibilities here are, amazing. There's a lot you can do here.
I had a friend recently who was calling me. She was doing a news shoot, and there was a bunch of different crews working the area, and her contexts just were not working. And we had to go through, looking up the Comtech groupings for her to try to coordinate with whatever she could find in the air. Having something like this that you can look at other people's stuff without it even being part of your system and coordinate around it is really useful.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Heather's used to popping into my streams and having them instantly end them, and whenever she shows up, it's time to end. So she's not allowed to watch. She's one of my friends down in New Zealand. Hello, Heather. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, this is the TXAdvance app, and I tell you, it's quite impressive. Really, especially consider the buy-in, considering that it's so intuitive. You can actually use it on multiple devices. Like that's actually an interesting point. I wonder if it would work on my phone with that OTG adapter. Because
it should, yeah.
No, but I mean
the one with the power,
the one that didn't work on the tablet. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah. Let me actually try that real quick. But
I think you have to be careful with the order, in which order you plug different things. So try to plug the OTG cable first in your phone, then plug in the SDR dongle, and then at the end plug the power.
Okay.
And maybe it would work. I hope.
Maybe. I'm gonna go full throttle. People that know me know that I like to see the world burn. So I'm going to plug everything in the way that it would most likely be if we're trying to quickly set up something. Because if there was multiple adapters you could see on set, then you're going to want to just say real quick, I just want to plug things in it and have it work. So if this dongle here in this particular OTG Y is an issue, then you would want to you might want to get a different one. So let's try connecting this up to my phone. And it vibrated, so it tells me that something's working. Is it charging? It vibrated, so usually that means that it is charging. I think it did because it didn't pop up the little thing to indicate that it was charging. It vibrates just right there. So let's go to the TXAdvance app. First time using TXAdvance. Okay. Let's just scan the air. Let's see. You have to choose the location first. Okay, fine. Let's choose a location. Oops.
You have to create one.
Yeah, location name. We'll call it home. List of transmitters I'm not going to worry about right now. And we're going to change the high frequency limit to 608. We're going to say legal here. Okay. Save location. Scan. Install the driver. Sure. So we're doing all this. Say okay. Now open the TXAdvance app again. At TXAdvance, scan. Yes. Always use it when it's connected. Sure. Okay. So there you go. On my phone, it had no issues with this particular adapter. Maybe again, maybe to your point, Greg, it could just be that I did it in the wrong order.
Yeah, I know they can be sensitive, those dongles with power, with OTG cables.
Okay, so let me try the same toggle right there, and it shows the scans. It shows one of my transmitters has died. Because I'm now scrolling through the air and looking, and if I can zoom in here, there's one of my transmitters, I'm sure, right here. That would be the, oops, zoom in there. Come on now. Yeah, so 516.2 is probably one of my transmitters. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this. I'm going to leave it the same exact way it is right now. And it is not plugged in right now to anything except power. What I'm going to do is start this up again. And let's see if I use the same exact order, leaving it connected up. Now that this hopefully has chilled itself out a bit, because I was plugging and unplugging things for a while. It might have been an issue. Okay, you see the little thing that indicates to me that it's definitely charging. Oh, there you go. See, it shows it's charging. I'm going to now try this again, and we're going to see if the dongle is now going to cooperate with my tablet. Yeah, it doesn't like this.
No, it doesn't like it.
It doesn't like it. So, but it liked it on my phone. So I hate to say it, you might need to just play with a couple of different dongles and see. I mean, or I guess I can buy a few multiples, and we'll see if I can find one that works on all my devices. It sounds like
it also might be the. I don't know what is your power source, but maybe the power is not enough. Or...
Oh no, it should be fine.
Should be fine, yeah.
But you're right. That may be
because maybe just the tablet is eating too much power and not leaving enough power for the SDR dongle. I don't know. It's just a thought.
That is a good thought, though. Because the very first power supply that I used and connected up on my wall is this one over here. It was way underpowered. And that was the first thing I noticed as I plugged it in there, and it didn't even like wake up. I'll do it again just to show you, because it didn't like this one at all. It's all over the place. So that's plugged into the wall, and it's not going to light up. Oh, there goes power-wise. So maybe I was too hasty. Maybe we'll see. Maybe you're right. Plugging into my computer might not have. We'll see if it scans. It might also be the driver I have here. I wonder if the driver needs to be updated or something. I wonder if that would affect it. What is it called? SDR?
RTL SDR, I guess.
SDR.
But it should no. I think it's pretty up to date. So
I'm gonna look and see real quick if there's. This is the one that's installed. I'm gonna try just for the sake of it to uninstall and then install it again, just to see if there's any change if I use that dongle while it's installed. Okay. Actually, let's go back over to where it just was. Play. Let's go open and see what our choices are. Enabled advanced mode. No, we're not going to mess with that.
No, you don't need that.
Try it one more time. I'm going to try it one more time. See if it. Nah, it still doesn't like this dongle. Okay. Well, it is a learning experience. So I'll see if I can find another adapter. I'll have to go on a list of buying adapters on Amazon to see which one that I can find. The only problem that I have there is I can't order them all at the same time, because then they'll all arrive in the same package. I'll never be able to figure things out because These things are all unbranded. I mean, I could see a number on it, but either way, I'll know that this is going to work with my phone. So if I want to keep this with me with this adapter, if I want to keep this in my phone, with my phone in case, I'll have that as an option. So I can do that and scan the air if I'm working with the sound mixer. So I know that this one works with my phone. Cool. Okay, so let's see if there's any other. Oh, Ping's in here now. Ping pong. Looks really interesting. Hey, Heather, everybody else. Okay, so any other questions or anything that we have regarding this app and everything, the TXAdvance app? Because if not, we've answered a lot of questions. I think my questions are pretty much satisfied. I don't know about you, Scott.
I think the biggest thing that I'm really interested in is just the fact that you're continuing to develop it and kind of where it can go from there. The fact that you've got a scanner, coordination software, and a smartphone or a tablet all in one package has just an absolute ton of power with it. You know, I mean, you can take it places that you're not going to take your system to go scan. The fact that you could keep it in your pocket is, I mean, being able to do a scan is great. You know, just being able to look at the RF space wherever you're at, whenever you need to look at it, is a huge tool that mixers should be taking advantage of, especially with low cost products like this. There's no reason not to have one in your kit.
I may have just answered my own question here. You mentioned earlier, it might have been a power related issue. Check this out. This is the OTG dongle that just goes straight in. See, that's blue. This is the OTG dongle that has the power built in. It's white. White indicates lower power. If it's blue, you know it's higher power. So that that's probably the issue right there, is that to your point, it's probably sucking up too much power. So, and because it's on the USB-A side, it's probably underpowering this right here. So what I need to do is find a Y adapter that will have a blue at the bottom. So that way it will probably take more power, because this probably is the limitation on that dongle. So I'll see if I can find one, and if so, I'll add it to the buy it. I'll buy it and see if I can get it installed, because I think that'd be a good dongle to have. So, but yeah, so any questions else from the 9 people that are still watching? I think they got most of their questions answered, because people have been slowly falling off over the course of time. Any other questions regarding the TXAdvance? Because we have the app developer and creator right here. Any features you'd like to see? Any thoughts on anything? Anything in particular that interests you?
Open to every suggestion. So yeah, please do.
I'll jump in. I would love to see, number one, when you get in the ability to do continuous scanning and to have a max hold feature. One of the things that some of the scanners have is a delta feature, where you can see changes in the spectrum from a baseline. So you can save your baseline and go walk around, camera or other departments, and you will see any signals that were not in your baseline show up on your delta scan. Or for instance, if a transmitter goes away that was there earlier, a delta scan would do that. You just have one comparison scan, and then you do continuously scan, and you're able to see what's different. That's a really nice little idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. Tool.
Yeah,
and Live Check also does something similar, but it's on a very small. I think it's just scanning really fast into one small area. Is that correct?
It's a 2 megahertz bandwidth. So you can see, if you set a center frequency at 100, you will see from 99 to 101, and this is one of the limitations.
If I was monitoring my entire space, that would be really nice. Someone walks into my space with wireless, that sort of thing would tell me right away that this, if you're just seeing a bunch of channels, that one wasn't there before.
Yeah, this I will do on the loop scan, because the limitation of those inexpensive SDR is I cannot get more than 2 megahertz of bandwidth at the same time. So yeah. I can go lower, but not more than that.
That would still be one of those things that if you were suspecting that one of your transmitters was having an issue, you bring that up on live check, walk with that transmitter and the device around to anything and see if that starts to affect anything.
Yeah. If you can see some spikes or something, or
Now, maybe also if it's only 2 megahertz, it might even be worthwhile to have a wider mode, even if it does take a moment and it's not a live scan per se, even if it's like a 1 second rapid scan or something. It might even be cool to see the entire bandwidth.
Even with slow scans, you can still use it if you want to, take it outside of the space that you're considering there might be some interference, and then go do another scan in the space, or compare what's my scan doing from outside to inside when I walk outside the building. That's sort of comparing scans as you're moving around a space is really nice for any sort of mobile application.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Maybe merging scans also.
Let's see here. Man, you can tell people keep popping in here. iOS plans, not at this time, because Apple is too restrictive with their development on things that you plug in there. Would it consider other sources as third, fifth sources of interference? We've already talked about that, but yeah, it has fifth and seventh even. I'm referring to examples.
I think it's talking. I think it's maybe talking about if there is like TV channels or something else. Does the app take into account the intermod created by these TV channels with the mics? And if this is a question, no, the app does not take it into account. I'm referring, for example, it's through. No, maybe. Well, I didn't see the end of the. Yeah, I mean, if you add a transmitter called Betso and you can make one custom, and you give it a frequency between 863 and 870, then the intermods will be calculated. As long as it's in your list of transmitters, it will be in the calculation of intermods. I hope I'm answering your question, Claudio.
So if you were on a site and you saw a signal that wasn't part of your inventory, you could just make a custom profile for it, set it wherever that channel is, and now your coordination is not going to mess you up.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Because it's gonna consider what you're saying.
He says exactly.
Okay. Yes, great. Thank you.
Can you monitor only UHF spectrum, or is there a tuner that's capable of monitoring 2.4 to 5 gigahertz?
No, actually, with those dongles, you cannot go higher than, I think it's 1700 or something. And in the app, I just limited from 50 megahertz to 1300 megahertz. So now at the moment, maybe it will change if I go with other dongles, but at the moment we cannot go to 2.4 or 5 gigahertz.
Now phones can operate on 2.4 if that was the direction that you were able to take it, because I know there are 2.4 scanners for scanner apps.
Wi-Fi and analyzer. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That would be interesting if you used it on a phone or something that has Bluetooth built in or Wi-Fi. If I don't know that your software would be able, I don't know if your app would be able to use the internal on the phone, or if that would just require too much coding. That is an interesting point, though. I
don't know. I think, I mean, with code, everything is possible. So, but at the moment, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't check on it. So, yeah.
But obviously, 2.5 or 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz is. I mean, I can't think of one wireless transmitter that anybody makes on the market that's a 5 gigahertz. So you're probably talking about Teradex or something like that at that point. And 2.4 gigahertz is obviously consumer frequency range. So
and they also work a bit differently. Like I know that I think, I'm not sure, but those Beatty microphones, I think they will communicate, the receiver will communicate with the transmitter, and they can change frequency while transmitting.
Adaptive frequency hopping and stuff like that. Yeah. Lowest Android version compatible with the app is
Android 6. Yes. Yeah. Might be a bit laggy though, because your phone is old. So if you have large scan, it might be a bit laggy, but it works.
Yeah. And I'm going to see if I can find, I mean, again, this adapter here, my phone doesn't require a whole lot of power, so it worked fine with that. But I think to Greg's point, the fact that this doesn't have enough power to adequately supply power to my my tablet over there means that it's not going to be able to continuously maintain power on everything. I might have to run some more experiments because it might actually just be because I don't have an adapter here. I plugged it into my, that's blue. So I mean, I don't know. I'll have to play around with it and experiment a little bit and see if I can find maybe an adapter that outputs adequate amount of power, because that might have been the issue, a power thing. I'll have to play with it.
I think so, yeah.
That'll be
if it works on your phone, it means that the connection is right.
It is, yeah. It just is probably underpowering at that point and sucking up all the power to charge up the device as opposed to,
to give it to the dongle.
Okay, well, any other questions from anybody out there viewing? We have 10 people out there right now in the world. Any other feature ideas? Any other thoughts? Anything in particular?
Well, I mean, I'm on Facebook or on the website, so any suggestion, you can just write me an email, and many people have done it, like to suggest to add some transmitter in the list of transmitters
and
or kind of things.
Yeah, and you're also very fast to respond. Like when I wrote you initially saying, I'm interested in this app, tell me about it. You know, would you be interested in doing a live stream or where we talk about it and go through the feature set, doing exactly what we're doing right now? You responded to me, I think, within like 20 minutes. And that was, I was like, wow. I mean, so at this time, Greg has not become overwhelmed with success and is able to do very fast response times. So
it's quite a niche market. You know, we are, I think, 10 or 11 on the stream, so it's quite a niche market.
Yeah, there's a lot more people interested than the people in the stream. There's some people I know that are not going to be able to make the stream that have asked about being able to watch it afterwards. So if you're still watching now and you're one of those people, then by all means. But okay, well, I guess that's all the questions that we have pertaining to the TXAdvance. I tell you, it's very fascinating to me, especially how cost-effective a solution is and how powerful the app that you developed is. It's very, very cool to me. And I really like it. And there's so much potential there. And I see it as one of those things that it's just starting out now, that people are going to really, they're going to really, you know, you're going to look at this, and I'm sure this live stream, someone's going to find it in like 2 years and they're going to say, man, that app didn't do anything back then. Cause it's going to be, by that point, 2 years from now, it's going to be extremely powerful. I just know that if you're constantly developing, it's going to be amazing. You might even, at that point, find another adapter, another tuner, or even be involved in the development of one at that point. Who knows? There could be another device that's like this that you find and you know, Beatty loves making adapters and making products. Who knows? Maybe they may make a smart thing.
Actually, there are already a few other dongles. They are, of course, more expensive, but much more powerful. And yeah, I will definitely look into it and try to incorporate them in the app.
Well, if there's some more expensive dongles that what do those give you per se? Is it just higher resolution, higher dynamic range, or is it?
Yeah, we will have higher dynamic range, but also bigger bandwidth, up to like 20 megahertz or the kind of things. So the scan will be much faster. Live check will be like with a 20 megahertz bandwidth instead of 2 megahertz, and these kind of things.
Tom says, would love to be able to add separate lists to combine into one list.
Yes, merging list is something which is on my list. So at what point you will be able to merge a list? Thank you, Tom.
So it's on his list, and he will merge his list, and it will make the list.
Yeah, I think that's quite useful if you have two sound mixers sharing the same area. You know, they can merge their list and coordinate all of their microphones together, and then everybody is happy. And
yeah. So Heather's spot on right there. Okay, well, I guess that's it then. Thank you very much, everybody out there, for tuning in and looking at this this live stream view. We've been here for a couple hours regarding the TXAdvance app and what it can do at this early stage of development. And you know, I definitely think it's two huge thumbs up from my book and what it's able to do. And like Cujo said earlier, for what it's able to do, especially at the price point, it's very impressive. So, I mean,
thank you, Alan.
What are your thoughts on that?
Understand this is a $500 package as far as the value that you're getting from a professional sound mixer's point of view. You know, this is a very good value. piece of kit. If you don't have a scanner, you should put a scanner in your kit.
Yeah. And this is a great first stop too, and something that you could just put up someplace. And this might be just a very hungry, tablet regarding power, but if you even had a smaller one that doesn't require nearly as much power, or even you had a device like a phone and you wanted to just set it up there and have a little small low profile scan that's constantly running once he has the scan functionality, and then until then just hit start and look at it again. Have it be on a utility cart that sticks up there with one of those arms, that holds things. I mean, there's some good possibilities here. Something that's very quick, very easy, that allows you to look at the spectrum in real time. I think that's very valuable. I think it's a very valuable tool, and I hope that there's a lot of success that comes from it.
Thank you.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. And I'm going to go ahead and call the live stream right there. But I very much appreciate you tuning in to this. Remember, there are links down in the description if you'd like to go to Greg's website and you'd like to look at the development. There's also some of the adapters and things that I'm using that I used for demonstration purposes in this live stream. And so if you want to click on any of those adapters, if you want to look at the tuner that I'm using or any of those things, those are down in the description as well. So thank you for tuning in, and we're going to call it right there. See you in the next one.